Well, I just want to inform you that I periodically check the website Deagel.com for the 2025 predictions they have on the population and also on the purchasing power parity and also the GDP and the military expenditures of the country. And I just want to report to you that they have now revised downward the forecasted population for the United States dramatically again, all the way down to 54.3 million by the year 2025. That's on Deagel.com. It's spelled Deagel, not Leel. Now, from my understanding, it is a legit site. It's not. I know some people call it a CIA front site and all this garbage. And I'm showing a dam over here because it's almost as if maybe that's a decent analogy. Say you're sitting in a lake behind it by a dam, and the dam hasn't shown any structural damage that you can see visibly to your eye, and you're sitting in a sailboat or something, and everything seems fine until things start falling apart. I don't know. I'm going to give you a couple of my thoughts on this deal, but I have been looking at that site. Now, right now, the population in the United States they have it at 323,990,000, so 324 million. To go all the way down to 54.3 million, that's ridiculous. Now, they have been. Now, in the past, I remember when they first, several years ago, they forecast the 2025 population to be 67 point something million. Then it was 64 point something million. They revised it down a couple years later. And then the last one, I saw it was 61 point something million. Now the current one is 54.3 million. They keep revising it down. And I keep saying they don't know and all this garbage. It's just a forecast. It could be wrong. And they're saying it's in the absence of war. I'm like, well, whatever. God. And they say a lot of it's due to exodus and people are going to be going to different countries. And those countries that they're going to aren't going to be safe because they're going to be. Well, I could say one common sense thing I see where it is a big problem is this. Every single, first, G10 nation out there is in debt. They say the first rate nations, the industrial Western Hemisphere, everybody's in debt up to their eyeballs. And I'm like, how is this going to continue? And it just may be, I think it's on purpose. It's not a matter of stupidity. And I'm like, God, it's more of the same crap, It's like the same thing over and over again, whereby there's always some garbage coming down. And I do kind of skim the alternative media channels for stuff once in a while. I look at, some of the garbage they say, and I'm like, yeah, usual garbage. But I do take it, it's me, the way I think. You see, like, I am an accountant still. I still go in a CPA firm every week. But I have this, like, stoic, just check on stuff every once in a while. I'll catalog things, categorize things, file things away, and just remember what they said before and see how it comes out. Like, obviously, it's been forecast by Pastor Lindsey Williams. I don't forget those forecasts. Well, they were pretty bad. And I've seen, a lot of and I've messed them up, I'm sure, but nowhere near as bad as some of the other people. And this forecast from Deagel.com is not mine, but where I look at it, it's not your typical. I don't want to name the channels, but you know who they are. The ones that are always dramatizing the world is going to end and the sky's falling. Deagel.com is not in that category. They've been, told or alleged to be by outside authorities to be a CIA front organization. Now, I did put out, a silver video. The CIA has warned us. Kind of took off, I guess maybe because I said the CIA has warned us. And it's not like I'm trying to dramatize anything, but I found it interesting. I says, I wonder if they're going to keep because I saw it was 67 million was one forecast several more than a few years ago when they were saying for 2025. Then they revised it down to 64 point something million. Then they went down to 61, and I kept thinking when they went from 67 to 64, I said, I'll bet you they revised it down again. Sure as hell, they freaking did. They revised it down to 61 point something million. Now it's revised down, estimated population in the U.S. in 2025, 54.3 million. Now that in itself is a big percentage decrease from 61 million. I don't know, what was that 15% or something like that, around there, almost. And it's another huge jump down, and I'm like, I don't know what the hell it means, okay? But I think that maybe something's coming up, that there's going to be a collapse in the government, but I'm hoping that the private sector still thrives. But, the one problem I always see, and I did explain this, and it's not like a doom and gloom, it's a fact. Back during the Great Depression, when the states were going under, the states were going under, that's when 26 states in the 1930s enacted state income tax for the first time to shore up their revenue. It doesn't matter that nobody had the money to freaking pay this damn tax. Well, they just did it. And you know what's going on in Illinois, too. Like right now, Illinois is getting all upside down, and they've been raising the state income tax a lot, And I'm thinking, well, Connecticut's next, New Jersey, California. I don't know what the hell's... I'm like, man, this is bad news. But I guess it's analogous to, the dam breaking. The dam breaking is sort of like, hey, it's not a big deal. It's a little trickle of water, right? And all of a sudden, it starts eroding and eroding. Now, I personally think they're going to start pulling the rug out from underneath Donald Trump with the economy, even though things have been looking really good. And if they knock him out of the loop for 2020, I don't think all this garbage that they're predicting for 2025 is going to happen in the next. I think it's going to happen more towards 2025 if they get rid of Donald Trump. I mean, Trump isn't like, I don't think he's perfect, but he's, they're going to use him as a fall guy for the problems that are going to occur, and then when they get rid of him, they're going to put somebody in that's really bad, probably worse than Hillary Clinton and Obama combined. I don't know who, I'm glad Hillary's not in there because, I must look like this, With the wishing well here, I wish for intelligence, logic, and driving skills. Poof, she turns into a man. Yeah, anyway. But, it's something. Well, I'm just telling you this deal. This Deagel.com site is not really, it's not on par with these other, it's not one of these rah, scare you, the boogeyman's coming after you, the world's coming to an end. They're not telling you this type of stuff. They're just making forecasts. And they're making their forecasts based upon analogies to what happened to, the Soviet Union before it fell. Right before it fell, nobody would have expected that. And although I do know, I think it was planned that it fell. And I think that the West is going to fall per plans too. That's my suspicion. Very strong suspicion. But just like, things aren't looking so bad, you're going to hear some news. Like you're starting to hear news about Illinois. It's going to go on to other states. I don't know where they're going to get the money to bail out these people. If we have another downturn in the economy like we had in 2008, 2009, which we don't really have a strong economy right now, they're not going to have the money to really infuse into the economy to shore it up like they have been since, the recession of 2008, 2009. It's like what Mark Farber has been warning us about for all these years, right? And Jim Rogers. It's like they're artificially pumping everything up, and then when we really have the correction, they're not allowing the correction to happen. And when we really have the correction, it's going to be that much worse. And what's going to happen is there's going to be a large exodus out of this country. In the meantime, everybody's just worried about trivia. Do I like blondes? Do I like redheads? Do I like brunettes? I like blondes. Anyway, and everybody is like shopping spree. Who cares, right? I mean, that's really what people are thinking. Um, but you should be thinking about some of your shopping spree. I don't know, freeze-dried food, water purification tablets, water filters, solar panels, I don't know, generators, and all this other garbage. Because some of this other superfluous stuff that you buy, it's going to be just so much trash if there is an emergency. I'm like, I was suspecting that Deagel.com was going to keep revising this down. Once they went from 67 million to 64 million, it was 667 points, which is ridiculous. From 323 million, now we got 320. Well, basically 324 million. It's the population they show is 324 million 990,000. So 324 million. So several years ago, that's when they first came out with that shocker forecast by the year 2025. The United States, more than any, and it's also the UK is going to get hammered, but nowhere near percentage-wise like the United States. Also, Japan's going to get hammered. Some other countries might show a little bit of a then there's other countries that show a little bit of a decrease, like Russia, but then their standard of living is going to go up. That's what they're forecasting. I'm like, well, if I could never forecast something like that myself in a million years, even though I think there's going to be some problem. And if the government experiences a problem, the first thing they do is try to tax the crap out of everybody. Like in 1932, I mentioned this several times before, that in 1932 was when they first put the national gasoline tax on. I was like, boy, that must have freaking helped everybody out. Even the farmers, they got to buy gasoline because prohibition was made the sale and manufacture of alcohol illegal. So the farmers couldn't even use alcohol for their tractors. They had to buy gasoline, and they had to pay tax on that gasoline when people are starving. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. I mean, as a matter of fact, during that time, during the 1930s, I swear to God, every single president we've had since probably I think our last really, really good president was probably Grover Cleveland. I'm really thinking that. Everybody's been kind of like, I don't know, Trump, I guess he's, when they start comparing it to everybody that's been in the last 50 years, he does look a lot better. But it's like too little, too late. That's what it may be. And I think that there is a plan to do this. And, man, I'll tell you, I ain't hoping for this kind of crap. I mean, I like to see something happen where, we get rid of a lot of excess regulations and rules and taxes. Oh, that'd be cool. But I don't want to see, something worse than the Great Depression in the United States or something even worse than that. I don't know what, And like I said, it's probably just like, today we look at the economic numbers and we're saying, well, it doesn't look that bad. I mean, it's bad, but, it's just like the dam breaking. When it starts to trickle, you're saying, it's just a trickle, and all of a sudden it gets bigger and bigger, and all of a sudden the whole enchilada comes down, and maybe that's what the deal is. And it's maybe analogous to, like, maybe the price of silver is going to be going along with that too, as you see more problems. Actually, gold is one of the things where people run into that metal due to fear of the markets, fear and uncertainty in the general economy. Gold is pretty much, the price of gold is pretty much the inverse of what the general equities are. And silver is somewhat attached to gold and somewhat also an industrial metal. So, that's why it's so hard to predict, because, it could be going down due to its not having as much industry being strong at the time when there's a lack of the economy is lacking. Yet, if there's a lot of uncertainty, since silver's somewhat attached to gold, it could be going up. But I almost look at it like when the economy really starts falling apart and the trickle's turning into a stronger rush out of waters, and then all of a sudden it becomes very obvious that things are falling apart really bad. That's when you're. It's almost like you're going to see all the gains on silver and gold happen in 6 months, with the last 3 months of that 6 months being the biggest gains going. And that's well. So a non-fearmonger site, which is Deagel.com, has now said the population is now forecast for the United States to be 54.3 million by 2025. So that's revised down from 61 point something million, and that was revised down from 64 something million, and then that was revised down from 67 when they first put out that wild forecast some years back that the population in 2025 would be 67 point something million. But the fact that they keep dropping it means that they're seeing stuff, and this is like the biggest percentage drop since the initial percentage drop. I mean, the biggest percentage drop was the first time they said 67 point something million, but then it went to 64, so 3 million down, which is, not. Now it dropped down from 61 point something to 54, so it dropped down 7 million out of 61, so maybe it's 13% drop in one shot. And I'm like, wow, I don't know. Food for thought, man. I mean, right now, it don't look like that's possible in a million years. But if you look at the number of people that are on fixed incomes, the number of people that are have pensions, they could be retired military police or whatever they are, even those type of people besides corporate pensions. Everything in the pension system is predicated upon how well the general equities are doing. So one thing leads to another. And then where do they get their money from? That's why when I think I'm going to start drawing some of my Social Security, I'm thinking about I'm going to reinvest all that crap into stuff like, I might need instead of blowing it on bull garbage, you know what I mean? Stuff like people normally do. Like they go play golf and they go to restaurants and they go to entertainment and they just travel and all this garbage. I'm going to put it into stuff that I think could keep me, fine during a collapse, which I think I have a lot of stuff already pretty much, together, but I probably know it won't hurt to get more. But anyway, just figured I'd point this out. I mean, I can't tell you any more about this than just my common sense. I mean, I think there is a danger of something pretty bad happening, but I just can't imagine the kind of forecast they're putting out. I mean, I could see, a lot of recent immigrants saying, I'm going to leave the country, but that wouldn't be, 250 million leaving or something like that or more. And they're talking about the military expenditures going down below 20% of what they are. The purchasing power parity, which is your actual, standard of living, is going to drop to 20 or less than 20% of what it is today, and a GDP. Now, I mean, if the government drops to 20% of what it is today, fine. But I don't want to see the private sector drop to 20% of what it is today. God, man, that's terrible. That's terrible. No, but they keep, and I have expected them to do this. So I'm assuming now, I don't think anything's going to happen in the next few years, though. I think Trump is going to last his entire term. I know they're trying to impeach him and all this garbage, but I think that during his term, they're going to pull the plug on the economy and the equities, and they're going to make sure he doesn't get reelected. The one that gets in office after Trump for 2020 is going to be the one that's going to cause all the problems. I don't know who that person's going to be, but it's probably, how we've been going, it's probably going to be worse than Hillary Clinton and Obama combined. And it's not going to take that long to really, cause a cascading effect in the economy where everything just goes, burr. So I don't think it's going to happen in the next few years. I think this is going to happen all at once inside of a year or two. And it's going to be pretty close to around 2020 if this is true. And then I don't know what the recovery is going to be like. Recovery is going to probably be agriculture. That's really what, if you can grow your own damn food and stuff like that, you should be fine. There's no reason we can't be doing that again. Everybody's, that the United States used to be the society of agriculture, and there's no reason the United States can't be the society of agriculture again. So I figured I'd just tell you about this, man. I was like, there we go, Deagel.com, 54.3 million, revised down again. So, the initial horrible forecast was 67 point something. Then it went down to 64 point something million. Then it went down to 61 point something million. Meantime, the population's still going up, and now they're forecasting by 2025 the population is going to be 54.3 million. But that's telling me they're seeing that the problems aren't going to be addressed, even if their forecasts are way the hell off. It's telling me that we're coming up to something pretty bad. And common sense tells you that, for crying out loud, There's no such thing. How the hell could a country be in so much debt and have so much trade imbalance and still continue to freaking stay afloat forever? It ain't going to happen. We all know this. So, do prepare.